This is going to be facilitated by Dr. Kevin Obiero. And Kevin has been introduced before, but let me just give you a quick intro of Kevin. He's the Center Director for Sangoro Research Station with the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute. And Kevin holds a PhD degree in Natural Resources from the University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences, Boku, Vienna in Austria. And Kevin is also the board chair for the African Center for Aquatic Research and Education. And beyond that, Kevin also leads the Lake Turkana Advisory Group. And we're going to look at what the Lake Turkana Advisory Group has been able to do and what vision they have and how they would want us to be part of the process. Thank you. So Kevin, proceed.
Thank you, Zeph. Thank you, colleagues, for those wonderful presentations that have gone ahead of us. We are seeing a lot of diverse exchange of information. So my name has been said, Kevin here, wearing many hats. I help coordinate the Lake Turkana, and this presentation is an input from several of our members who are also on board in this forum. So I don't want to dwell so much because now we know the presentation outline. So Lake Turkana is shared by Ethiopia and Kenya. It is regarded as the world's largest permanent desert lake and also an alkaline lake. So very unique ecosystem, just like the others. It's also the cradle of mankind. Some of the early hominids were found in this region, but paradoxically, it is the least studied amongst the African Great Lakes. In terms of biodiversity, the basin hosts very unique fish species. Some of them are endemic within those genera. And the annual fisheries yield on average is around 10,000 metric tons, which supports over 8,000 fishermen. The lake also supports, plays a very important role in important birdlife area, recognized for that role of over 350 native and migratory bird species. It also hosts the world's largest remaining population of Nile crocodile, estimated at over 14,000. Also, the lake is unique in terms of having 4 species of endemic reptiles and also a mud turtle. So we can see that it plays very critical socioeconomics and also biodiversity roles. Some key characteristics is that we can see that the catchment area traverses both Ethiopia, which has 48% because of the Omo River that supplies over 90% of the freshwater inflows. So the lake, the Omo River is actually the umbilical cord of this important lake. We can also see that in terms of maximum depth and also annual fluctuations, which range between 1 to 1.5. However, in the recent years, we have seen the rising water levels as has been experienced in the other regions. And this increased water levels also influences the fisheries, the distribution, and also the generation of the fringing vegetation. So we can see from the next presentation that the water levels has been rising from around 2017, so that from the normal 1 to 1.5, we experienced close to over 4 meters, variation in height. So this tells you that though there were earlier predictions that the lake was going to go down because of the damming, but because of the climate changes, we are experiencing quite a massive annual fluctuations. Trends in terms of fisheries catches, effort is increasing. We are also seeing the number of boats and fishermen increasing. From the eyes of in the 1980s, catches have relatively stabilized over the past years. But one thing that we can note here is that there's deficient data to give us good trend lines. So that is one challenge because this is one of the least understudied lakes. So these are sometimes we rely on anecdotal data, which is normally grossly underreported. So from recent studies, we know that this lake can produce much more in terms of volumes, in terms of the trade volumes through the Ugandan border up to DRC. But in the official statistics, there's gross misreporting. And this one we have notified in some of our recent publication. So some of our members, the formation is that we were formed in November 2019, initially with 8 members from cutting across the research and academic institutions. We have grown. Currently, we also have co-opted some members from Ethiopia, advisors, and also we really benefit from the technical input from Yepe and Natasha, who is also a member now. And the interest is growing. So currently, we are still opening the opportunity for other members to join us to make this unique experience valuable for all of us. Some of the priority areas is lake-wide monitoring to know the current status, hydrology, limnology, and stock assessment. Since the studies that were done almost 40 years ago by Hobson et al., still not much has been done. We have had some studies by Kalkvist, Yepe, and others, but we really need a comprehensive study in the lake. Innovative ways of collecting data, use of remotely sensed data, catch monitoring programs, etc. Developing protocols for standardized data collection. Then also we have done a concept for a small research station at Umurate in Ethiopian side to facilitate research, the collaborative nature of research. So in Turkana, in Kalokol, we have a research station, so we can complement with the one that is in Omurate, which we have already done the design works. We are just looking now for ways to raise this center, and also social and economic impact studies. Some of the achievements is that we have finalized and submitted 2 manuscripts for publication. The monitoring has been accepted, while the one for Lake Turkana right now has been submitted and is under review. We have also submitted more than 2 proposals, but unfortunately, we have not been able to succeed. For the JRS Biodiversity Foundation, we have had very good connection and network. I think there were just some minor technical details on the open access nature of the data, but in our next round, we are hopeful that we're going to make it. We have also held several collaborative and networking meetings, the Omo Turkana Research Network, Stony Brook University, King's College, London, and the ISD LA family. We have participated in the remote sensing workshop that was shared earlier. We have incorporated new members, Natasha and also Elias. The monthly virtual meetings are going on, and also we participated in the IAGLA virtual conference. We hope that the next round we shall be able to attend in person. Then we have also participated in workshop. Some of our members, like Yepe, has represented us in the 18th World Lakes Conference. Amongst us also, we have participated in several research opportunities to share our knowledge and experience on the lake, which is going to attract more visibility. And then data sharing, especially through publication. So somebody sees an interesting paper, they normally throw it out, and this has been a very valuable experience. In terms of some challenges, we have talked about the rising water levels and also siltation, a severe drought that is ravaging the entire basin. So because this is the lake is in a hydrologically closed basin, so any little impact, especially on the Asal region, has massive impact. The COVID cannot be overemphasized. Then the issue of lack of open access to data sharing, this really costed us in some ways. Funding challenges is an issue, especially for the in-person. We had planned for an in-person meeting this January, but because of that funding issue, we were not able to. Knowledge gap, action gap is still something that we are contending with because this lake really needs much attention that it deserves. Then demonstrating research impact and incorporation of science in management remains a challenge, especially how can we make some of our technical outputs relevant for policy. And then maintaining relationships requires considerable time and emotional investment. And in this, I think in-person meetings really make much sense, though I want to commend their care and the ISD team for really keeping this conversation going and setting up this platform for us to share our information. Some of the plans that we have and some of the lessons that we have learned is that dedicated funding and logistical support is very, very important. This is why we are here on this forum. And we believe that even a small dose of fund can be very, very helpful to make us continue to do the little, which now builds to the bigger. Then to continue to seek top-down commitment from boundary spanning organizational leadership. We really appreciate the roles of CEMFRI, the roles of TAFIRI, LVFO, and also the commitment from their different leaders. Some of them are participating in this meeting, which is very, very important. And they can also see and set the research agenda. Then building relationship through formal and informal interaction. And I want to emphasize on the informal interactions, especially during workshops. This is where we need to get buy-in. This is where we really make a lot of connections and networks. Further, we will be willing to accept new members. Continuous capacity building is ongoing. One of our members is currently doing his PhD in Ghana. And through this network also, we are going to engage in research activities with Stony Brook, the Turkana Basin Institute, and also CEMFRI as from January. And we are also thinking of the infrastructure development. I've talked about the research station in Murate, and also purchases of research equipment to enhance our data collection. One of the questions too we have is that we have tried several aspects. Funding has been elusive for some time. So we were requesting maybe today or tomorrow, we can come up with some strategies to increase our success rate. And then we also know that the monitoring process has started. Pioneer has been leading this team. How do we actualize some of these ideas? So with that, thank you so much for your attention. And we invite more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Obiero, for that wonderful presentation on Lake Turkana. And also highlighting that this is one of the least studied lakes of all the African Great Lakes. So it means that there's need to invest more in research resources to, one, increase visibility and also enhance resource acquisition for implementing different priorities of the advisory group and also that represents the community. At this point, I welcome further comments or inputs. One I've seen from Winnie here is Dr. Obiero. Data sharing can sometimes be challenging. Have you thought about developing a data sharing policy prior to the open access data sharing websites? I don't know if Kevin, you can respond to that.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Winnie. We, at the institutional level, CEMFRI has developed a data management policy. These data management policies can be able to allow us to share some of our research finding with external organizations. That is at a smaller level. Then we can now build it up. So this allows us to share data with our colleagues in Ethiopia. And we believe going forward, these strategies, these policies can be adopted at a bigger level. For example, we are grappling with about transboundary and also at the regional level, ACARE. Is it possible? And this is one of the things we discussed during our recent meeting, how we can develop our overhacking policy that can allow us. But at institutional level, yes, there is something. Thank you. Also, my colleagues in the forum, you can also maybe share some insights from your perspective. Thank you.
Hi, Winnie and Kevin and others. It's interesting, the data sharing and policies have been emerging. I think for some time. I'm fairly new to the data sharing and information exchange world in the past handful of years. But we're learning that it's a critical issue, and we are delving into how do we make information more accessible. And that ranges from publications to people's data, collected data and information. So I guess my short answer is this is a larger issue that we are working on, that we're dealing with. Even organizations that are giving funding Most of them are now requiring that they have to have open access, for example. And how to do this is a challenge. There's ownership of data, there's publications, there's citations, etc. And these are all things that we have to consider. I don't have the answers, of course, but that's why we have all of us here, so we can hopefully determine how to move forward with as much information exchange to make good, healthy decisions for our natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Sorry, thank you, Ted and Kevin. Farida?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Obiero. Thanks everyone for the presentations. There is really a lot to learn here. On the issue of data, I'm a PhD research student, just doing my PhD at the University of Stirling in the UK. But from what I'm gathering, it's really being, it's a very complicated issue, but something that as managers and as researchers, we need to really think about. Of course, data is expensive. It's costly to collect, and there is a lot that is involved. But if we are going to be able to move forward with our research agenda and be able to contribute towards management options that have been informed by historical processes, we need to be in position to, at least to some extent, avail some of these data sets so that, for instance, if it's a researcher, you do not have to struggle a lot or reinvent the wheel, because at the end of the day, a lot of time is spent in digging up this data and trying to, find it in bits and pieces. Yet some of it has already been collected by projects that have ended. But because we do not have that central repository where these data sets can be shared, it kind of affects our contribution towards policies by use of what has happened to our resources in the past. So that's my addition on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Farida, for that wonderful and useful addition to the contributions. I think our folks from the LVF are currently working on data sharing protocol for the regional countries. So this is something that we want to learn from and also get some of the experiences. ECHA has this as a priority for the coming year, and we've begun to look into how to bring the parties together and start to look at not just websites, but also look at some more holistic approaches. Eric and Ted. Eric, then Ted.
Thank you, Zeph. Thank you so much, Dr. Obiero, for that presentation, and other presenters. I've really enjoyed the presentation. I'm aware that Lake Turkana has a lot of potential socioeconomic wise for the community in Turkana, looking at the climatic condition in that area. I'm just wondering if what priorities does the county government of Turkana have for Lake Turkana, and if they are also perhaps involved in the in the committee for Lake Turkana. Thank you.
I welcome Dr. Obiero to respond to that. And also, Dr. Obiero can also respond to the two questions from Jared Agano in the chat.
Yes, thank you. I will attempt some. I also want to prepare my colleague, either Yepe or John Malala, to respond to the size of tilapia in the lake. First of all, in terms of participation in the SDG, and the Sustainable Blue Economy, Kenya hosted a big conference on a sustainable blue economy. Remember that blue economy not only focuses on the marine resources, but it also cuts across the fresh water. Here is where now you think about the extraction part of it. How do we sustainably manage some of these resources? Aquaculture is coming up as a key component of the blue economy. Issues of also conservation, mangrove management, and the rest. But to also, in terms of also the capture fisheries, also which plays a critical role in the economy of all these nations that are represented here today. So ACEA has been actively spearheading research, which can now give us, how do we sustainably utilize some of these resources? How do we ensure we don't pass the maximum sustainable yields? So using science to either recommend for more production or more resource usage. So that is the role we play, and other diverse areas. Remember, we are also contributing to aspects touching on the capacity building, which is a critical pillar of the blue economy. There is the issue of the listing of Lake Turkana as a UNESCO Red List. Yes, this happened in 2018. Basically, this was driven by the damming that was happening. Remember, there's been a series of dams that are being done on the River Omo. The tallest dam that is over 243 meters, which is being done, the Omo, the Gibe tree, raised a lot of alarm, and they were thinking that this is an issue that would cause issues of ecological, and I mean, in terms of ecological flow, it would really be impacted. There also been a lot of aggregation happening on the southern tip of the basin. So all these issues caused the committee to put it on the red list upon now sufficient, mitigation measures being done by the countries. So this is a call to action for all the partners involved to do something. Lastly, is the role of county government. Are they part of ACARE? We had one of us who was working with the county government, but right now is working in Turkana University College. Right now, we are participating in the development of the management plans for Lake Turkana. And through that, our member, that is John Malala and James Last, are also part and parcel of that. So they contribute in terms of the prioritized research we have done. We have a channel where we can reach out and share so that the county governments can now take appropriate management action to sustainably utilize this resource. I want to give either Yepe or John Malala to respond to the size of tilapia. Welcome, colleagues.
I think Yepe covered it in the chat, indicating that it's not true that tilapia can't grow big, but there are dwarf populations, which I wish we had a half-an-hour presentation just on dwarf populations of tilapia. But Yepe, I'm speaking for you. Go ahead.
It's fine, Ted. No, it's true. I mean, it's not true. I mean, tilapia in the main lake can grow very, very big. Sometimes they stunt a bit when they are in the more shallow lagoons like the Ferguson Gulf, and that is associated with the oxygen levels. But in general, in the main lake, they can reach really big sizes. And then we have this dwarf population in I think it's a central island. There's a small volcano lake there where they're dwarfing. So, but in general, the size of tilapia is almost linearly correlated with the depth of the lake, as Lo McConnell once showed in her publications. I'm talking about now Nile tilapia. There's 3 species. There's the Orychromis niloticus, the Nile tilapia, and then there's a Sauroterodon galileus, and then there's the tilapia silly, the red breast bream. I think it's got another name now, but we're mainly talking about the Nile tilapia. Thank you.
Thanks, Yepe. So we believe that we have covered, but all these presentations have raised very important feedback. We can carry on the conversation. I turn back to you, Zeph.
Thank you, Kevin. And sorry, I want to believe that you've also addressed the issue of involvement of the Turkana County government. If not, then John can take 30 seconds for that.
Yes, John, you can address this.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Obiero. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
You are.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Zeph. This is John. I just want to make a small comment on the involvement of the Turkana County government or Marsabit County government on the development of the lake fisheries. As Dr. Obiero had said, They are not particularly involved with ACARE because ACARE was started the other day, but they are very much involved in the development of the fisheries of the lake. Turkana County government at the moment is developing a policy for the management, a county-based policy, which fisheries and blue economic policy, which will guide the exploitation of fisheries in line with the national policy on the Lake Turkana, especially side of the lake. In terms of projects, they have a priority that aquaculture becomes a major issue for Lake Turkana, and they are looking at the possibility of undertaking both pond culture and also cage culture. So studies have been undertaken on this, and areas of identification, areas have been identified which can support cage culture in certain parts of the lake. Marsabit government, yes, they are very heavily involved in the development of fisheries. They're supporting fisheries along the eastern side of the lake. And at the moment, there's a good fish factory targeting tilapia on the northeastern part of the lake and near the border with Ethiopia. Thank you.
Thanks, John, for the feedback and for explaining the situation. I believe that all of us are now on the same page with regarding some of the questions, and I can see in the chat we're still continuing with the discussion about the size of the tilapia and the environment and how that contributes to the dwarfness of some of the species. So at this point, I think we've come to the end of the advisory group presentations. And I know we've learned a lot. We've also gathered so much information, but importantly, when you become part of the advisory group membership, then you get to learn about this on a monthly basis at the longest time period. So I take this opportunity to thank you all. I know you may still have some other burning questions. Please feel free to shoot us an email. You can write to Kevin, you can write to myself, you can write to Ted. And at the end of this session, we'll be able to share our emails. Just as a summary, I want to highlight that the 6 advisory groups that we've got the presentations from, excluding Lake Victoria Advisory Group, which we haven't got due to other limitations, has a total membership of 84 members. That's including some of our advisors. And Lake Edward and Albert, we have 11 members, so we still call on for more people to join the advisory group. Lake Kivu, we have 16. We still need some more people from Rwanda and DR Congo to join. Lake Malawi, Nyasa, we have 14. Lake Tanganyika, we have 17. Lake Turkana, we have 10. And Lake Victoria, we have 24. So that's a total of 84 membership across the African Great Lakes. And as you could observe, this process is a 5-tier in the sense that it links from the local to the transboundary level, to the regional, to the continental, and now to the global level, where we have all the global experts in this session discussing matters pertaining to strengthening science and research on the African Great Lakes. So I welcome any other comments or inputs from the members. And at this point, I close this session by inviting Ted to give us the way forward on what we would have to do. Thank you so much. And I look forward to communicating with you in the next few sessions and later as well. Thank you.